evening, America. It is your boy Kaka Tolson back at it again with the greatest and latest news. And yes, guys, all of you already know this. I'm pretty sure you're not finding this out from my video. Yes, Donald Trump has won the US election, and I guess depending on who you voted for, congratulations or sorry. I mean, if you guys want my opinion, then I'm pretty sure that Trump winning the presidency is probably going to be a disaster for America, but what I'm pretty sure of, on the other hand, is that, unfortunately, Trump winning the presidency might be a disaster for Ukraine. And myself as a Russian, even though I am interested in what is happening in America, I'm way more interested in what this Trump presidency might mean for Russia and Ukraine. And here's the thing, I don't even necessarily want this to be an orange man bad kind of video, but guys, I have to be honest, I really do not have any positive predictions about this one. So what is up, everybody? It is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian, and in today's video, I'm gonna be diving into how Russia reacted to Trump winning the election, talk a little bit about the bromance of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and also discuss and maybe try to predict what this Trump presidency is going to mean for Russia and Ukraine. By the way, guys, I apologize in advance if I'm gonna be disgusting looking in this video. I've been super sick for the past week or so. This is what happened yesterday when I was trying to record. Yes, I was absolutely dying and I kinda still am, so I apologize, but this is a topic that I cannot not talk about. So, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, what a dynamic duo, right? If you followed the news at all ever since the 2016 US election, you probably know that Trump and Vladimir Putin have complimented each other on multiple occasions. I mean, this stuff goes way back, okay?
And when referring to a comment that Putin made about you, I think he called you a brilliant leader, you said it's always a great honor to be so nicely complimented by a man so highly respected within his country and beyond.
Well, he does have an 82% approval rating, according to the different pollsters, who, by the way, some of them are based right here. Look.
He's also a guy who...
Yes, guys, what a wonderful beginning of a relationship. I mean, look, as a Russian who's had to flee Russia because of how restrictive and sort of undemocratic Russia is getting, I would appreciate it if the leader of the free world, aka the President of the United States, I would really appreciate it if he did not refer to Vladimir Putin as a man who is highly respected in his country and who has like a 99.9% approval rating that is totally legit and real. I mean, it's not like Russia is a country where people are afraid to speak their mind because they're gonna go to jail. No, not at all, you guys. You know what I'm saying? I would just really appreciate it if somebody who's supposed to be the beacon of democracy would say that Vladimir Putin is not exactly the greatest, most democratic president ever, but I guess his popularity is just so undebatable. And he's just so great that you have to return the compliment. But anyway, who cares what I think, right? Well, guys, now in 2024, after Donald Trump has won the presidency, it seems like Vladimir Putin has kind of decided to return the favor and say a couple of nice words about Trump while congratulating him with winning. Let's check it out.
Я, пользуясь случаем, хочу поздравить его с избранием на пост президента Соединенных Штатов Америки. Я уже говорил, что мы будем работать с любым главой государства, которому окажет доверие американский народ. Так будет действительно и на практике.
I've always noticed how Vladimir Putin always tries to appear extra liberal when he knows he's talking to an American audience that is going to see what he's saying. Notice how he emphasizes that he respects the choice of the American people, right? He doesn't respect the choice of his own people, but he respects the choice of American people. In fact, he doesn't even give his own people a choice. But this is something that he's always done. There's this ancient video in which Vladimir Putin is asked about what he actually admires about the United States, and he gives this like incredibly liberal response about how he appreciates the American freedom of expression and freedom of speech and so on, and American like spirit or whatever, you know. He basically goes back to the old him from the 2000s where he was pretending to be a democratic leader in order to appeal to Americans and to make Americans feel like Vladimir Putin is actually a guy that like kind of respects freedom and democracy, just like we in jolly good old America.
What do you admire most about America?
I like the creativity when it comes to your tackling problems, their openness and open-mindedness, because it allows them to unleash the inner potential of their people. And thanks to that, America has attained such amazing results in developing their country.
Vladimir Putin does know how to appeal to Americans with populism when it's needed, and this will be actually important later in this video, so...
Вы знаете, можно тоже как угодно к нему относиться, ведь все изначально в первой его итерации президентской говорили, что он бизнесмен в основном, и он мало чего в этом понимает в политике, ошибок может наделать. Ну, во-первых, я вам могу сказать, его поведение в момент покушения на его жизнь Я не знаю, но на меня произвело это впечатление. Он мужественный человек оказался.
Мужик.
И дело не только в поднятой руке и в призыве бороться за их общие идеалы. Дело не только в этом.
Дело не только в поднятой от сердца к солнцу руке. Sorry, guys, I had to.
Хотя это, конечно, знаете, на драйве, на таком, все как бы... человек проявляет себя в условиях, в экстраординарных условиях. Вот здесь человек проявляет себя, и он себя проявил, на мой взгляд, очень правильным образом, мужественно, как мужчина.
So yes, you heard it all. Vladimir Putin admires Donald Trump for his manliness and for his strong character. And this apparently became obvious to Vladimir Putin at the moment when Trump almost got assassinated. Not exactly sure why, maybe because Vladimir Putin can relate. Which is like, fair enough, you know, you guys get a room or something. But really what I did find funny about this entire situation is that the way media, or in particular Russian state media, reported on this is rather funny. And in order to show it to you guys, here I am on the website of Ground News on an article about Vladimir Putin congratulating Trump and saying he's ready to talk. Ground News shows me here that there's a total of 148 news sources that cover this topic, and I can actually go down here and check out all of the sources and see the differences in reporting and headlines. And I've already talked about Ground News on this channel before, but if you guys are not aware of what it is, Ground News is the ultimate news aggregator and news comparison platform that collects all the articles from all over the world in one place, so that you can easily see every source's political bias, ownership, and factuality, and compare headlines. And you can check out Ground News yourself by going over to the link down in the description to ground.news/NFKRZ or scanning the QR code on the screen. So like I said, Ground News is the best way to see how differently news are presented in different media. And something that I found really funny is that, for example, take any Western media like BBC, their headline basically says Vladimir Putin congratulates courageous Trump on election win. And this is something that pretty much most Western media mentioned, that Putin actually complimented Trump and said that he's a real man or whatever. Trump wins latest. Putin congratulates brave man Trump. Reuters says Putin praises Trump. Putin ready to talk with courageous Trump, so you get it, right? But when it comes to TASS, for example, which is Russian governmental media, Russian propaganda, which Ground News shows me has mixed factuality and leans right, which, you know, sounds about correct. The headline simply says, no details on Putin-Trump communication as Russia stays open to dialogue. And they simply mention that Vladimir Putin congratulated Donald Trump, but no mention of the glazing, right? I do find that very interesting. It's almost like Russian media doesn't want to admit that Vladimir Putin, the glorious leader, would fall so low and stoop so low to compliment a filthy Western capitalist pig. I guess that's what it is. I have no idea, honestly. So yeah, comparing news like this is pretty fun, but also another feature that I really enjoy about Ground News is actually the interactive map, which actually allows you to see breaking news happening live on a world map. You can check out what is going on around you, for example. So yeah, I've personally loved using Ground News, and if you guys also want to improve your news reading experience, then go over to the link down in the description to ground.news/NFKRZ, subscribe through my link and get 40% off of the Vanish plan with unlimited access, which is exactly what I have. Thank you Ground News for sponsoring today's video and for trying to make the news more transparent. Now let's get back into it. So yeah, the dick eating has been crazy, but overall, Russian officials and Russian propaganda kinda had a mild reaction to Trump winning, not too ecstatic, not too happy. Some reactions have been pretty ridiculous, like Dmitry Medvedev, for example, ex-president of Russia, by the way. He is known for his insane pen game on Telegram, right? For his bars. And this is what he had to say, and I quote, "Donald Trump has one quality that is very helpful for us all. As a true businessman, he really does not like spending money on all sorts of leeches and, essentially beggars. For example, stupid allies, idiotic charity projects, and very expensive international organizations. The toxic band-right Ukraine is in the same list. In any case, tonight, the green, asshole in Kiev is gonna bury himself in white powder up until his ears." Incredible, guys. Incredible. Once again, Medvedev's vodka rants are just incredible. This was him when writing down that post, guys. Yes, it's so true. And a spokesperson of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Maria Zakharova, said, "Victory only comes to those who live to love their own country and not to hate on other countries." So true. Russia, by the way, is a country that definitely lives and thrives off of love in itself and not hating other countries. Yes. 100% true, fact-checked by real American patriots. Alright guys, so now that we looked at the history of mutual glazing between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and that we looked at how Russia has reacted to Trump winning the election, I think it is time to actually talk about what Trump winning really means for Russia and Ukraine. Now, Trump has essentially said multiple times before that not only would this war never have happened if he was in office, but also that if he became president, supposedly he would end the war between Russia and Ukraine in just under 24 hours.
It's the most dangerous time in the history of our country.
So what should be the
Ukraine
response?
would have never happened if I was president. None of this stuff would have happened. You wouldn't have inflation, for one thing. But going back to that, Ukraine would have never happened. Taiwan, which will at some point happen under this group, would never have happened. You never heard these things being talked about.
You said you could end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours.
Yes, I could.
How would you do that?
I know Zelensky very well. I felt he was very honorable because when they asked him about the perfect phone call that I made, he said it was indeed perfect. He said it was, he didn't even know what they were talking about. He could have grandstanded, oh, I felt threatened.
Well, that's not going to be enough for Putin to stop bombing Ukraine.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I know Zelensky very well and I know Putin very well, even better. And I had a good relationship, very good with both of them. I would tell Zelensky, no more. You got to make a deal. I would tell Putin, if you don't make a deal, we're going to give him a lot. We're going to give him more than they ever got if we have to. I will have the deal done in one day. One day.
So yeah, I mean, we all know Trump likes to boast and, make outrageous claims. To say that the war would have never happened if he was in office, very highly debatable in my opinion. And I'm gonna be describing exactly why for the next 10 minutes or so. But also, guys, I honestly feel like Trump should have never said this, because this, if anything, is Trump's own Kiev in 3 days moments, right? I mean, if we learned anything from propaganda and mistakes of propaganda from the past few years, is that you should never really boast when you're not really sure that you can do something, right? When Russian propaganda was saying that we are gonna take Kiev in 3 days, the entirety of Ukraine is gonna fall in a week or whatever, and now we're on, day 1000 of, the special military operation, right? Trump saying that he's gonna stop the war and that he's gonna come up with a perfect plan and a perfect deal that both Putin and Zelensky will agree to in under 24 hours is a bit insane, in my opinion. That is one of those things that is not happening. And once again, for the next 10 minutes, let me try to explain and discuss why that is the case. Now, the Wall Street Journal actually recently reported that apparently Trump's team already has a plan that's gonna fix everything, and essentially Ukraine has to give up its NATO membership aspirations for at least 20 years. The current front lines have to be frozen, and also a demilitarized zone between Russian-held territory and Ukraine has to be established. That is supposedly not even going to be guarded by the United States, but is supposed to be guarded by European armies. So essentially, a peace plan that Ukraine will never agree to. Ukraine has already said multiple times that they are not agreeing to give up any of their territory. And like a DMZ, and supposedly, right, this demilitarized zone between areas of Ukraine that Russia currently holds and Ukraine itself is going to be supposedly 800 miles wide or something like that, or long, which is like, at that point, like, that's ridiculous. That's like the entirety of Ukraine, basically. And yeah, sure, I can see that Putin might like this deal, but I don't really think Zelensky would. So I'm already not sure this is happening in 24 hours exactly, but also, Trump has actually already gone on record once again during this presidential campaign saying that he thinks that Ukraine is getting too much aid from the United States, and perhaps maybe we should cut down on that, because obviously he's a conservative, sort of isolationist candidate. A lot of his rhetoric and what he appeals to is, let's keep the money in America, let's spend it on America, America first, make America great again, right? So screw Ukraine and all the other allies of America, essentially, right?
Her question is, would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky.
We're giving away so much equipment, we don't have ammunition for ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition for ourselves, we're giving away so much. What the fuck is he talking about? America is giving like such a tiny amount of its ammunition to Ukraine. In the grand scheme of how huge the military-industrial complex in America is, it's kind of the only reason America still exists, let's be fucking honest. It's the only reason except like huge billion-dollar corporations why your economy still works. I'm not really exactly sure what sort of shortage of ammunition of the United States Trump is talking about. Maybe perhaps Trump thinks that we need to send 5 more billion to Israel and cut the support to Ukraine down to about $10, which is pretty much what he's going to do. Because, you know, the American election is always a competition of whoever, you know, basically sucks off Israel the most. But yeah, from what Trump has said so far about giving aid to Ukraine, it's not looking too good for Ukraine once again. It's not looking too pro-Ukraine on Trump's side. And also JD Vance, who is now the vice president-elect of the United States of America, he's on record also saying that he doesn't really care what happens to Ukraine. I gotta be honest with you, I don't really care what happens to Ukraine one way or another. I'm sick of Joe Biden focusing on the border of a country I don't care about while he lets the border of his own country become a total war zone, which is a lie. Again, guys, it's really not looking too good. What do I have to say? And in fact, what is currently happening is that the White House currently under Biden is trying to rush approving a little bit more assistance and aid to Ukraine, essentially while they still can, and while Trump is not in office yet, and until, once again, that support gets cut down to a fucking box of lunchly and $10. Because that's what Trump is gonna do, and once again, the fact that this is already happening, and this essentially is the reaction of the Biden administration, which, according to many people and according to Ukrainians themselves, has been rather also kind of stingy with aid and so on, right? Apparently they realized that whatever's coming is not great news, so they're trying to rush more aid to Ukraine right now also. All of these things are not really great signs, okay? And look, if you guys are wondering what I think is gonna happen regarding all of this is... Again, I don't really have any positive predictions. I really do think that... Well, first of all, I have to say that you don't need to be overly, like, insane about this in the sense that, like, yes, Trump kind of has a reputation of being sort of sympathetic to Russia, right? And there's still allegations regarding the collusion of Russia with, like, the GOP or whatever. The Mueller reports, all of that stuff, that still exists, right? It's just that everybody forgot about it. Everybody forgot about this whole thing, you know, of the talk about Russia getting involved in American elections, because at this point, you know, news moves so fast and there's like a new ridiculous thing every fucking day now. You know, it's so bad these days that if Watergate with Richard Nixon would have happened today, it would be just like a regular fucking news day. Nobody would give a fuck. Trump has had like fucking 50 Watergates by now, okay? But what I'm saying, right, is, I have to be honest, I'm personally not super knowledgeable about the topic of whether Trump is really like a Kremlin puppet or not, right? But he's certainly not a net positive for Ukraine in any way. But again, I do think that you shouldn't expect Trump to be like super pro-Russian in the sense that I don't think anything so outrageous like Trump suddenly deciding to lift sanctions from Russia or something like that is going to happen. Nothing to that kind of a degree, right? Trump is not going to glaze Russia. He's not going to advocate for Russia because at the end of the day, he is an American president and he's supposed to serve the interests of the United States of America, right? And the interests of the United States of America is opposing Russia. So no, Trump is not gonna come out on the first day of the presidency saying ZV Goida. Folks, the United States of America fully supposed to special military operation. Vladimir Putin has told me there's a ton of Nazis in Ukraine and we have to deal with it. We have to put a stop to it. Hey folks, I'm just telling you what I heard. That is not going to happen. However, it is very highly likely that there will be way less aid coming to Ukraine. And it is very highly likely that Trump is also essentially going to more or less try to appease Russia in a certain way. Like, Trump doesn't want to become a loser in the eyes of the American people. He doesn't want to appear like he's conceding to Russia or anything, but when it comes to like making the deal once again and ending the war, I don't really think Trump is gonna care about like perceiving the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine or anything like that. I don't think so. He's essentially going to try to do something that will make him look less bad. Not do something that will, you know, help the people of Ukraine. And the thing is, right, it's a very big issue and a very big problem currently is that, well, essentially Ukraine is kind of becoming a domestic policy issue for America, right? It's a domestic policy issue that was discussed by presidential candidates during this election, right? It's something that is important, it's something that American people do care about and want to know about, right? And the thing is, let's be completely honest, in the United States of America, there's already a very big amount of people who either have been lied to and essentially, you know, brainwashed by propaganda, or who just genuinely don't care about Ukraine, who essentially think that, you know, once again, we're giving too much to Ukraine. If we stop giving the aid to Ukraine, that will definitely mean that, you know, that money is not gonna go to Israel or, you know, to Elon Musk or whatever the fuck. Because America is good, okay? Let me be honest. I've also recently seen the news that supposedly Trump recently had a talk with Zelensky on the phone about the peace deal or whatever and trying to end the war. And supposedly Elon Musk hopped on call on Discord to partake in the discussion, which is great. Yes, Elon Musk. Elon, USA, USA, USA. Great guy. Love him, love him. I wish him a healthy and long and peaceful and prosperous life. Anyway, like I was saying, there's a lot of Americans who genuinely think that aid for Ukraine is like something that is an insane issue of spending in the United States. And that if we stop, first of all, not only is every American suddenly gonna become richer and suddenly you guys are gonna get healthcare. Yes, under Donald Trump, you will, yes. I mean, you guys will never get healthcare. You had one chance to fucking vote for Bernie Sanders, but you lost it, so it's over. Your country's fried. I'm sorry guys, I know they snubbed Bernie, but anyway. There's a lot of people in America who think that the US needs to stop spending any money on Ukraine, to focus more on America, right? To secure our own border instead of securing Ukraine's border, whatever. And also at the same time, these people think that if we basically just negotiate a ceasefire and just stop this war immediately, right? Then that will mean peace forever. That means that Russia and Vladimir Putin are never ever in their life once again. They're never going to invade anyone anymore or try to annex any territories, because obviously, of course, we all know that Russia is the peaceful, wholesome country that has never done anything wrong. Yes, of course, of course. And the thing is, guys, I feel like right now, if you ask me what Russia's long game is and Russia's kind of plan is it's not even really about trying to convince Donald Trump or the Trump administration or the American government to be sort of more loyal, more lenient on Russia, right? To be more chill on Russia and to convince them to sort of give up on Ukraine and basically go back to business as usual, to a neutral, friendly relationship with Russia, whatever. I don't think it's about actually trying to appeal to Trump, because I don't even think they can really do that. Once again, Trump will be anti-Russian always to a certain degree. But I think Russia's long game is actually trying to appeal to Americans and to convince Americans that, first of all, not only is Russia like a cool country where, you know, you have actual free speech and actual freedom, unlike, you know, libtard America with cancel culture, whatever, you know, we all know this kind of argument. I talk about this stuff all the time on my channel. There's like a billion of these epic conservative people that genuinely think that Russia is like a more free and a more like democratic country than America. And like I already mentioned in this video at the very beginning, Vladimir Putin does know when Americans are listening to him, and he does know what words to use, what kind of populism to use to sort of appeal to Americans, especially like right-wing conservative Americans. He talks a lot about personal freedom and like democracy and the people's choice or whatever, where once again, meanwhile, in his own country, there is none of that. But also apart from that, Russia's long-term game is kind of to try to convince more Americans, or as much Americans as possible, that once again, America has to give up on Ukraine. America has to give up aid, and that Ukraine essentially needs to be abandoned, either for reasons of we're spending too much, or, you know, this war is like unwinnable anyway, so let's just make peace with Russia and, you know, whatever. And once again, this is a message that fits pretty well with a lot of the Trump's base. It fits in perfectly with a sort of conservative isolationism. It fits very well with this American conservative isolationism, you know, that we only need to spend money on ourselves. And Russia already is and will continue to invest billions and billions into their own propaganda machine to, once again, try to appeal to as many Westerners as possible and convince them that Ukraine needs to be abandoned. And I mean, you guys might say I'm schizo, but remember, Tim Pool and a bunch of other people recently, you know, American conservative speakers, American Trump supporting speakers, these people have been caught in 4K for getting paid by Russia to essentially spread what is pro-Russian propaganda.
Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine.
Yes, guys, once again, total coincidence. Total coincidence. There's nothing going on there. Surely. So yes, Russia does want to convince as much Americans as possible that America needs to stop supporting Ukraine, and they're paying for it. And of course, Elon Musk with X, which has basically been turned into a conservative sort of propaganda machine, his platform is full of that kind of messaging, and, you know, the propaganda works great. This is why Elon Musk is talking to Zelensky on the phone right now on Discord. We live in clown world, guys. We live in fucking hell. It's over. So yes, guys, what can I say? I really hope you enjoyed this awesome authoritarian world that we're all Russian headfirst into. But But yeah, really, you know, I'm sorry for being kind of a zoomer and kind of a bore or whatever, but I really don't see any good ending here, honestly. Because I do think that Trump severely overestimates how much Russia is willing to compromise. And he severely also underestimates how much Ukraine is willing to compromise. I mean, none of these guys are willing to compromise, and I don't know, it's not looking good. And unfortunately, the reality is that Russia is the one that has nuclear weapons, and Russia is the one that's like really excited to keep the fucking conquest going and so on, right? So again, even if hypothetically we would accept, right, hypothetically, that both Ukraine and Russia agree on something and Ukraine actually ends up ceding some territory to Russia, right, and there's essentially a ceasefire again, I do think that there's a very high likelihood that Russia is not gonna stop there. And once again, even if some sort of deal is negotiated, and once again, this kind of deal would be super bad for Ukraine, most likely, right? Either way, it doesn't help shit, because Russia is still gonna continue to be Russia, you know what I'm saying? So yes, guys, congratulations. Let's wait and see what happens. No doom and gloom, guys. Again, I don't want to be a zoomer. I don't want to, you know, give you guys a tough pill to swallow, whatever. But again, the future is just not looking great. You know, no matter what country we look at, honestly, the future is just not looking that great. So, try to be kind to the people next to you. And, you know, once again, try to support each other. And let's try to cope the best way we can. And my way of coping is providing this kind of content to you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, if you guys did, then please make sure to smash that like on this video. And as always, guys, if you do like what I do on this channel, you can go over to the link down in the description and become a YouTube member. It is basically like YouTube's own version of Patreon. It is the best way to support me, or if you want to do a one-time donation, you can do a super thanks underneath this video. But yeah, guys, more updates coming soon. Keep going, guys. It's all gonna be great, okay? I will see you guys in my next Zoomer-ass video, because at this point, there's no other videos to make. Alright, guys. Peace.